Hello, everybody, and welcome. That's right. It's me. It's the Cyber Warrior, the host of Security Happy Hour, founder of CyberWarriorStudios, chief marketing officer, chief financial officer, you name it. I do it all for me. I'm a one-man show. That's how we do around here. Now, normally I run a little video, but we're doing things a little different tonight because you know what? This show is going to be a little different tonight because the guest that I have on wants to talk about privacy for the masses, which for those of you who don't know is very important to me because privacy, data, your identity, all of that stuff matters. And we'll get into why here in a little bit. But first and foremost, let me introduce my guest, the star of the show, the reason we're all here, Hannah Sutor. Hannah, how are you doing?
Hey, Cyber Warrior, I'm doing pretty well. I'm recovering on the upside of COVID now, so feeling better than I have the past few days at least.
That's good. That's good. Because I remember you told me that. I was a little worried, but I was like, you know what? Hopefully she's good for Friday. But as always, I would have made it happen even if you couldn't have joined. It would have been okay.
I was determined to pull through for you.
That's why I love you. That's why I love you. So, I love the fact that you changed your name, though, because it's more about you now. And you're actually putting yourself out there more with your name, with your image, and what you're doing. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah, I just did that. So for those who don't know, on Instagram, which is where I've primarily been posting my privacy content, up until now, I was the privacy chick, which I felt like was pretty catchy, but also didn't love the word chick. It's not generally how I refer to myself or to any other women, but so yeah, I've been on a little bit of a personal branding journey. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, definitely. And I do like the name. I think it works for you. I think it is very important to your brand and what you're putting out there because you do. And the whole premise to today's episode is put out a lot of good information for everyone, not just those in cybersecurity, but legitimately everyone who wants to protect their data and their privacy and their identity. I've seen so many videos of yours that I wish they had like 1 million likes because I would literally just keep hitting it because you've talked about concepts that I've talked about in the past, but you do it in such a way that I think more people can relate.
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly what I'm going for. So I'm glad to hear it's resonating with you. I've worked in tech my entire career. And even after working in tech for over a decade, I still didn't fully understand like what data do companies have about me? What does that mean? What are they doing with it? How can I stop them from sharing it? And I thought, gosh, if I don't understand this stuff, like most people probably don't either. So I wanted to bring it down to a level where it was consumable by everybody. And then also my message is not like, you have to use a VPN and cover your house in tinfoil and you can never go on Facebook again. Like I want it to be approachable. And so people
Right.
can understand that we still can participate online, but maybe there's some simple things we can do to take some of our power back.
Yeah, definitely. And that's really the big thing. You know, something as simple as the browser you choose can really make a big difference in what data that, you know, companies get from you. And it's funny because my dad, who he works in GRC, and me and him go back and forth all the time because I'm like, hey, look, you know, this company, like they're selling all your data. And like at some points he'll get mad, at other points he doesn't. And then it's like, well, I have nothing to hide, so I don't care. And I'm just like, but everybody has something to hide. Everybody, whether it's a social security number, a debit card number, a street address, everybody has something to hide because you don't want the general public knowing about it.
Yeah, and I don't think just because you have quote nothing to hide doesn't mean also that you then want like yourself to be sold like a commodity, right? It's like they're not mutually exclusive. Like I deserve respect as a person, and part of what makes up my identity is being sold from data brokers for money, and I'm not okay with that, right? Even if I don't have something to hide. So that's kind of where it lands for me.
Yeah, for sure. And like when you look at the big social media companies, and I'm hoping, oh man, people are going to yell about this, but that's okay. I'm hoping with Elon Musk and how much he's charging now for different avenues of Twitter, that he gets away from selling data. Because as we all know, if the platform is free, that means you are what is the commodity. You are what is up for sale. So that means your tweets, your data, your information, your what you search for, who you follow. That's every social media platform. That's Google. That's everything. So I do hope that with him trying to charge for different avenues, he gets away from that. But I can't guarantee it. I'm not in the man's head. And let's be honest, the dude changed his mind a million times. I mean, he
Yeah, very true. And I think it's not even a matter of like companies electively choosing to do that. It's that there are forcing factors for them, right? There are laws in the EU, especially, where you can't just take all this data and turn around and sell it. You have to get consent. It needs to be informed. There's rules around it. Some of the United States, I think there's 5 states now that have privacy laws that are just
a few.
starting
I
to get
know
enacted.
California was one of the first.
Yeah, California was the first, and I think this year, I think 4 more came online. So I think smart companies are starting to see that the landscape is shifting in terms of all this data harvesting and using it to target ads. And I think they're looking for other revenue streams. So I think that's part of what you're seeing too.
Yeah, and I think I do. As much as people bitch about Elon Musk and what he's doing, I think that's kind of the avenue he's taking. Now, to say you're paying for verification, unless there's actual identity verification behind that, I don't necessarily agree with it. Solely because people did rely on those blue check marks to know whether or not this account was legit. Um, so I don't know all of the factors that went into that kind of, hey, let's charge for this type of thinking. But I do think that it does serve a purpose if done right, if you are verifying your identity. If you're a company and you're the social media marketing person of it, you know, then hey, I'll give you the LLC paperwork or the company paperwork or whatever it takes to prove this is who I am. So I'll pay monthly, but I still get my blue check mark. I've verified who I am.
Right.
And I think that does more, especially for like someone myself. You know, CyberWarriorStudios is a brand. It's who I am. I do it. I put personal stuff out there as well as professional, but it's still an LLC. I'm not verified anywhere because of all of the requirements that go behind getting verified, even though I'm an actual company,
Right.
which blows my mind.
I know.
I have submitted my paperwork to Instagram and they're like, yeah, no, homie. And I'm like, but here's the paper. I own this.
This actually reminds me of about a year ago, I went to my day job, I work in identity, authentication, verifying identities, all this stuff.
Mhm.
Um, so I went to an identity conference that's sort of the cutting edge, what's coming up next in identity, and it was very heavily focused on like decentralized identity, identity on the blockchain. Anyway, what was interesting about it was that there was so many government people there. So if you think about today, who verifies your identity, right? Who gives you that credential that Twitter can then look at and say, oh yeah, that's Hannah. It's the government and it's states whenever you get your driver's license or whatever other
Mhm.
form of ID they issue. So I thought it was really interesting that the government, because we tend to think of them as very behind the times, they're at
And
this
very pieces of
conference.
shit and corrupt. But yeah, okay.
they're I'm just saying they're paying attention. They're wondering like how they're going to fit in the new paradigm of verifying identity online.
Mhm. I've noticed that even within the DoD, they've been doing different things. And I will say this about some of the sites I have to access as a veteran and going through veteran healthcare. Um, you know, they're catching up quicker than I would have thought. They truly are. So as far as like MFA and just securing your data and securing your login information and things of that nature. But I don't think it was quick enough. It took them so long to get to that point where you would think the government should have been one of the first adopters of, hey, let's have a more secure way to log in. Let's have a more secure way to protect people's information. And you had sites like Facebook and Google and Twitter, and you name it. Any company you would log into was doing MFA and 2FA before the government was.
That's crazy.
Like, the only thing I think the government has that most private companies don't, not all, but most, I would say, especially some of your small to mid-sized businesses, is the common access card, is using an actual card to log in with a PIN number versus a username and password. That is about the only thing I think that is really different, that gives them that kind of edge up over a lot of logins. But if you were to enforce something like that and say Facebook to log in, how are you going to get that card?
Yeah.
How are you going to log in?
Yeah, very true. It's a complicated problem.
It is. And John raises a good point. John Good here. Can we also figure out how to stop us ending up on mailing lists? 99% of physical mail is straight to the recycling bin. Don't pass go, don't collect $200. And he's right. As a business, I get more marketing mail than I can count. Now, granted, when they're nice enough to send me a pen with one of the touchscreen tops that I could use on my phone, that's fantastic. But why am I getting random magazines and mail now that I'm a registered LLC? Like that? What? Seriously, I should not be getting random mail.
Well, I think this all comes back to data brokers. And then as you know, if you follow my Instagram content, they're probably the biggest one I pick on, because I think they're the biggest source of, let's say, data wrongdoing. And so it's so easy. One of the things I'm going to pursue actually soon is buying data from a data broker and just seeing like, hey, what will $20 get me in terms of data on people, right? Like, what can I do with X amount of money, and see what's in there? Because I think from the research I've done, it's incredible the amount of data they have on people, including like your possible health conditions. They know your income, thanks to the Facebook pixel that was embedded in the tax filing software last year. So I think if I had to guess why you're on those lists.
Hold up. I missed that one. Which tax filing software embedded a Facebook pixel?
Oh my gosh, I'd have to look.
Please don't tell me it's TurboTax.
I think it is.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I don't want to switch. They're able to like autofill half my shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to switch from them.
I know. Well, I think they took care of it this year, but if they got it last year, it's kind of they can make inferences. Our taxes generally don't change that much year to year. So,
son of a bitch.
Yeah, that was a
I didn't
big
even see that news.
Yeah. Just Google tax software metapixel and you'll find all the articles about it.
That is absolutely crazy. And to be completely honest, I think that when we're looking at this from a standpoint of privacy and security, that tax information is very vital to what we do. As much as I hate taxes. So John Good, he said, Tax Slayer and Tax Act. All right, so I'm safe. Thanks, John.
All right, good.
I'm safe.
Good.
All right, cool.
I was a user of Tax Act, so I feel this personally.
But I look at this, and I've seen so many of your videos about enabling MFA, and I have a whole playlist on like protecting your social media, because I helped an independent wrestler, a good friend of mine. I fought to get all her accounts back from a hacker. Well, I say hacker, and it's hacker. All right, not all hackers are evil. Don't fucking judge me. I'm a hacker too, so. But I helped her get her accounts back. And in that process, I was like, you know what? Let me put out videos that will help others secure their accounts and show them how to do MFA or 2FA, use an authentication app if you can. Oh, or actually, if you can, a hardware token, depending on the social media platform. If not, use an authentication app. And the biggest thing I did was tell people SMS is the last thing you ever want to do. And everybody's always like, well, why? And so to me, I refuse to put my phone number in for an SMS authentication. And it's in some countries it's different, but here in the US, all it takes is a phone call and to get the right person on the line, and you've got someone's number and SIM card.
Yeah, right. I've seen the SIM swapping, how easy that is. So I agree. It's definitely better than not doing anything at all, like not having a second factor. But I agree it's very easy to compromise and it's definitely going out of fashion. Like for example, the company I work at, right? We don't even support that. So it's not even an
Yeah.
option to have SMS as your second factor.
Yeah.
I forget what else I was going to say. Um but yeah, where I struggle a little bit with the authentication app is, and hardware keys for that matter. I mean, most people don't even know what those are. I was looking around trying to find my YubiKey, but I
I
can't
have a
seem to.
U I have a YubiKey and I have Google Titan key. I have
Ah,
them
okay.
both.
I have both of those too. Um, where I struggle, like because my heart is in making this stuff accessible
Right.
to most people, and I think even my parents, like do they use authenticator apps? Would they have any idea how to set that up? Would they ever be able to recover, right, if they lost their phone?
Yeah.
And I still think there's a gap there.
I do as well, and I think that we need to so here's where this kind of catch 22 comes in. I would love to go fully biometric, whether it's a fingerprint, a retina scan, a facial recog, or whatever. But with that, now that company has that data. They have that information, and who can break into it? Because I always say there's only two types of companies out there: those that have been compromised and those that don't know it yet.
Yeah.
So I don't give a damn how big you are and how special and you're everything secure that you think you are, but you're gonna get breached. It has happened. AWS has gone down. Google's been hit. Sony's been hit. The largest organizations that should have the best security in the world have absolutely been hit. So do we really want to rely on the biometric data that is us?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have the same concern. I think with WebAuthn, which is sort of the standard that implements your fingerprint scan on your iPhone, your face scan on your iPhone, and your hardware key for that matter. At least what I tell myself anyway is that, for example, for Apple, right, that is
Mhm.
only stored with Apple. All the consuming software. So like if you're using your fingerprint scan to get into an app that and you're, let's say, you use it to get into Instagram. Instagram does not get a read of your
Right,
fingerprint. They just get the yes or the no from Apple. So
right.
ultimately, it's Apple that holds this information. And I'm not as familiar with Google, but I would assume they probably hold the scans from Android.
You would hope, but it's
Yeah.
Google and they sell everything to everybody, so we don't know.
Yeah. Yes, I don't know for sure. So,
But at the same time, I defend Apple a lot because of how they went to bat against the FBI. But at the same time, they're still a corporation. They're still out to make money, and they're still out to do things. So are they or are they not selling that information? It may not have been found out about yet. Anybody that holds the keys to the kingdom, you just never know.
yeah, I agree. I'm
And
skeptical always in general as well. And so I totally get it. And ultimately, it's like I think it's the manufacturers of these devices that, like you said, do hold the keys to the kingdom, right? We can go in incognito mode on our browser. We can use Brave browser, whatever, but your operating system of your computer and your ISP still knows where you've been. So no matter what you
exactly.
do, yeah.
And John, actually, John, again, coming in. I love when John Good comes on here. Are those companies then going to be subject to HIPAA requirements? There's a lot of implications with mandating that or transitioning to that. When you hold biometric data, that is data about you, that is health data, that is protected information, are they subject to that? I honestly don't think Apple, Google, or anybody that has biometric data currently is subject to HIPAA requirements.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that they are. I don't know why they're exempt from that. But again, I'm also not a legal expert, so
Me neither.
yeah.
And this goes back to, you know, I want people to protect their information. I want people to protect who they are. I have already, and my wife got worried at one point. Um, so the government, as we all know, got, you know, they had a third party contract to all their security clearances. I can't remember the name of the company that did them. But they got compromised. So I already knew my social security numbers out there. All my information's out there. That's why, like, I'm at a point I really don't care, because a simple search on the dark web will get you all of my information. Like, legitimately, everything I have, the government got compromised. They have it. But I got a letter, and it said, or an email. I can't remember which it was, but it was like, hey, you owe X thousands of dollars, and they used my social security number minus the first digit as the account number, and they did all these things, and I went and looked through my credit report, and I was like, yeah, you see, I know what I owe people. You're full of shit. And so my wife was like all worried. She's like, oh my God, it's like your social and it's this, and this. And I'm like, babe, I'm sorry, but my information's out there. I was in the military. All of my information is out there. So there's nothing I can do. This is fake. This is a scam. This is whatever. And I think when we're looking at our older generation, and actually even our generation, to be honest, people are falling for this left and right.
I know. I know. It's a really big problem. And yeah, like you said, some of the things that are becoming more ubiquitous, like using your face scan or your fingerprint to get in, that will help. Um, Whereas, but yeah, I mean, I've definitely had family members fall for phishing scams,
Mhm.
and I've seen pretty convincing ones myself, that try to make you click on a link or things like that. So yeah, definitely a huge issue. And as you know, there's the whole industry structured around trying to prevent this and help with it, but it's really tough.
So I got one for you. So your Instagram being geared towards the masses, geared towards helping everybody. I got a new one for you that just came up recently, and it's because I did not do enough research. I did not look enough into it. So in cooperation with my son, we fell victim to it. So he got a message on Discord, and it was in this room that he was in. He plays games. He's on everything. And it said, "Hey, I accidentally reported your Steam account." Da 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 da. It went on. Talked to this person, and they made it look legit, and they made it look like this ticket was open and all this was going on. Person was good. They were damn good. I'm not gonna lie. Well, it led to an account takeover, even though I had 2FA, because I ended up, I say we, because we were both like, oh, this person's legit and this person's the Steam whatever, support person. Ended up this person taking over the account. And as soon as like it clicked for me, I was like, dude, we're opening a ticket with Steam right now, getting your account back. He was like, what? I was like, this is a fraud. This is a fake. And this dude now has ownership of your account. He's not giving it back, and he's going to take everything.
Wow. So I'm not that familiar with Steam. What's their motivation? Is do you have to pay to play it or something?
So some of them are you pay to buy the games. Some of it is certain games. It's like any application that allows you to download games and play games. There's in-app purchases and DLC and all this other stuff. So they took his account, and had I not caught it, if it would have just been him, and here's where my son is intelligent, is he sent me a message while I was out. I was out somewhere. He goes, hey, Dad, I need you to take a look at this. Again, this is me being stupid and like rushing into things. I came home. I looked. I was like, all right, let's talk to this person. And I went through, but I'm looking, and they talked in all code blocks. All code blocks. I'm like, no support person is going to talk in all code blocks.
No.
But it didn't like trigger in my head right away. And I was just kind of like, all right. So I went through the process, realized, oh shit, we fucked up. Like, the account's gone. Emailed Steam, said, hey, the account's been hacked, this, that, the third. My son got his account back within a day, I think it was. But that is where, and it's not the first time his account's been taken over. He had Steam and Epic at one point. I got an email because I have my son, we share the same name. So I have all of, except for maybe one or two of his email accounts on my phone. He's like me. He's smart enough to know I need a bunch of different email accounts to do certain things. Um, so I get an email and I'm like, wait, Epic password change. Oh, no. So then I get a hold of Epic and, I deal with these things. But some people don't catch those. And the problem is, and Hannah, I may have missed a video. It's very likely because I've only been following you for maybe a year, about password reuse. And the problem is when people get into password reuse, now somebody has access to their email also. And they actually did it to my wife too. So we'll get into that story in a little bit. But when you reuse passwords, now they have your email. So now every message you should say that, hey, your password's been changed, gets deleted.
Yeah, totally. I did a series on this. It was around the time of I think it was like Cybersecurity Awareness Month, which gosh, I forget when that was to be honest, but it was sometime last year. But I did this whole series on like what is a password manager, why you should use one, and of course the reason is because you need to not use the same password everywhere because then if someone gets into one account, they can get into all your accounts. And actually, I had a lot of interest in this because most people were like, hey, I don't want to use a LastPass or one password or whatever. I just want to have Chrome. Like Chrome saves my password, right? Is that good enough? So that was the that was the question from the audience. Um, and my response was like, it's better than reusing. They let Chrome
Better than
generate a
nothing.
password for them, right? Like so
Yeah.
at least Chrome is generating a unique password and then
Hmm.
storing it. But then I was like, but it's only as strong as your Google account, right? Then at that point, because once somebody gets into your Google account, that gets you into Chrome, and then that gets all your passwords. So it's definitely something to be wary of.
Well, and now we got to be wary of LastPass. They've been breached like two or three times within the past few years. So they're getting hit more and more often. And it leads me to wonder, are they still worth sticking with? Because I used to talk a lot about LastPass and saying, hey, go with LastPass because it can go with you everywhere. You never have an issue finding your passwords. They're always there. But their lackadaisical security within their own company has made me wonder, okay, what are they missing that all of this information has now gotten out there?
Yeah, I would not recommend them, definitely. I think I used to use them. We used to pay for their family plan, and they lost us as customers after I think the second breach. I tried to ream them out on Twitter and like tell everyone like there's no excuse for this, right? I think they were breached 3 times maybe in the past year, and their messaging around it was very like
Mhm.
it wasn't very transparent. So I felt like they were
Right.
trying to make it not sound as bad as it was, which does not jibe with me either. So
Right.
actually saw them at a conference I was at, and I had a sticker. I keep all my stickers in like this drawer at my desk, and I got out my LastPass sticker and like threw it in my trash can. I was like, I'm done with this company. So, and I saw somebody said in the comments here, Carrie said, I don't let the internet save my passwords, and I did get that feedback from my audience as well. A lot of them have gone to password storage that is not on the internet. So I
Well,
think,
I had someone that set something up with KeyPass and basically stored their database, and because there's open source KeyPass, like to an extent, where they had it to where they could sync their database through like Google Drive or whatever, and it would come down to their phone, so they had it on their phone and everything. And that was the biggest selling point for me with LastPass was I could use it on my phones, I could use it on my computers, I could use it everywhere and always have access and not have to remember a million different passwords. And I could share it with my family. I could share it with, my my wife and my kids and be like, hey, look, these are the logons to our, Netflix and Hulu and everything else. And now I'm like, I need to find something else that gives me that same capability, but isn't as suspect.
Yeah, and it's like everything with security and tech. I always say it's like a balance of security on one end, and then you have your like ease of use or your accessibility on the other end, and like everyone's tolerance is going to be slightly different, right? Like if you're either going to reuse the same password everywhere or you'll let Chrome generate and save your passwords, then like yeah, it's better to let Chrome generate random passwords and save them for you. But not everyone is going to. I see somebody recommended like Bitwarden and KeyPass, right? Like not everybody. I can't expect some people in my audience like to take, even I don't do it, right? I still use an online password manager. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like everyone has a different threshold and not everyone is going to be a candidate to have their own password database and replicate it on all their devices and make sure it
Right.
never touches the internet, you know?
Right. And I think that's the biggest thing, right? So you look at things like KeyPass, where the database isn't in the cloud necessarily. If you choose to store it on a NAS or in the cloud or wherever, then the database could be there, but it's still protected by a password. It's still, it's encrypted, all these other things. Um, versus, hey, I'm gonna use 1Password or I'm gonna use Dashlane or whatever you may use. And even Bitdefender now has come out with, and I praise Bitdefender um, on high. Like Bitdefender has been my favorite at home anti malware solution. Um, they've come out with a password manager now. I don't know if it replicates through the family. I haven't tried it yet. I probably should. But I think there's a lot of people getting into this game. And I honestly, it does. You're right. It comes down to your risk appetite. What are you willing to what are you willing to risk? Are you willing to risk a company getting breached and potentially your unencrypted passwords getting out there? Or are you willing to, you know, hey, if my computer gets malware, now they have all of my Google Chrome passwords, they have all of my, internet, my Microsoft Edge passwords or Brave or whatever you've stored wherever, you know, that's where it comes down to your risk appetite and what you're willing to do. And that's the biggest thing.
Yep, definitely. And it's different for everyone. So I try not to be overly prescriptive, saying like, here's what you definitely need to do, but more present the options.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what you need to do. And that's, even as a consultant, that's what we do is these are your options. These are your choices. You choose. It's on you to make the decision. I can't make the decision for you.
Yep, exactly. You can always change your mind too, or add some extra layers, or around particularly sensitive. Um, I always, even if people aren't interested in doing MFA for everything, which they should, but I'm always like anything that has, your bank, photos of your kids. I have shared this story on Instagram, but I have a friend who had her photos on Shutterfly. Shutterfly does not provide multi-factor authentication of any sort. And she hadn't logged in for a while. She logged back in and had noticed that somebody had logged into her account and got a blanket printed with photos of her children on it. And they got it shipped to them. A random person from the internet hacked into her account, did all that without her ever knowing. So I've tweeted to Shutterfly like, how can a company that's holding photos like not have MFA? And so that just disgusts me that some companies are just so far behind on the security curve when they're holding information like that.
Well, and that's the big thing is, what information are you holding? What is the data behind it? And if you're not going to do MFA, why not? Give me a reason. And there's generally speaking, and here's the biggest issue is there is no reason.
Yeah,
I
that's what I
don't
was
want
gonna
to
say.
spend the money.
Yep.
And when you're thinking about it, So my biggest issue has come into this, and I think we're going to see a change here in the near future. I actually on Security Confidential, I discussed it. You know, your insurance companies are now going to start looking at it as, did you do your due diligence? Did you do everything you could to protect your clients, your customers, your personnel, whatever the case may be? They're not going to pay out if you did not. And I think if you are not requiring things like MFA and protecting your client data and protecting your clients and your customers, you get breached, you're out of luck.
Yeah, I've done
They're not
I've
going to
done
pay.
a brief dive into cyber risk insurance, which is what I think you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like an insurance policy that a company can buy that says, hey, if we get breached, you'll pay out this amount of money. And I've done I've been interested in like what are these insurance companies looking for before they will hand a policy over. And don't have a great idea. I know a pen test is one of the things that they do, but I definitely agree that that is going to force these companies to get some better security practices, if nothing else will.
But again, and here's where my issue is going to come in. And then I got a question for my buddy. A pen test is only as good as the person that does it, and it's only as good as the company allows. Within a pen test or a red team engagement or whatever, you always have a scope. Attackers and malicious personnel do not have a scope. They're going to go after whatever they can go after, and they're going to do whatever they can. So within this scope and the time frames and the length of time that they're given, are they checking the box? Are they actually finding legitimate issues? And I think because of, and this is why I bring it up, because my buddy brought up AI, because of all these automated tests and all this automated, hey, we found this, this, and this, we tested, da, 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 da. I think we're getting to a point where we're relying on automation too much and not personnel going in there and actually testing. And it's because the automation is cheaper. So now a company is going to go out there and say, oh, I could pay $5,000 for a pen test and we're good. And we'll get a report and it'll say all these things. And it'll check the box for my insurance company saying, hey, I got a pen test. I'm compliant. No, you're still screwed.
Yeah, and I've actually the whole check the box thing, I found that to be the case with privacy as well. Like what companies do is they put up a privacy policy, they get a lawyer to draft it. As you know, usually before you can agree to use a software product, you agree to that privacy policy. But what's always bothered me is like, who is ever checking on the other side that the software does what it says it's doing in the privacy policy? Like, who's checking that they don't sell it to third parties? I don't know. No one. I don't think anyone is. So it's one thing to put it in the privacy policy and check the box. And then it's another thing to take a deep dive on privacy tech. And I feel like that's a field that's just starting to emerge.
Well, look at how many people dove into TikTok and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and everything else. And even WhatsApp. You see so much of, oh, this is my WhatsApp. It's secure. It's da 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 da. Facebook owns that now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't trust Zuckerberg as far as I can throw the man. Like, if they own it, they own your data. They own who you're talking to, what you're saying, who you're talking to. They own everything. So are you really going to tell me WhatsApp is secure? Signal is open source, and through Sweden or Switzerland, I always forget which company. But if you're looking for encrypted actual messaging that is outside of the US and doesn't have to follow the same rules, that is a different company altogether. They're a little bit better. I'm not going to claim they're perfect. I'm not going to claim they're not going to sell your data. I'm just saying I would trust them before WhatsApp because I don't trust Zuck to not sell your data and your information.
Yeah, it's definitely being sold. Definitely.
The moment WhatsApp got bought by Facebook, I was like, anybody still using that is screwed.
Yeah, I know.
But it's just one of those things. And so, and the reason I talk about AI and the way kind of all the pen tests and stuff are going. So, my buddy put up here, with the recent exponential growth of AI, do you think the success rate will increase for scammers? What do you think, Hannah?
At least from the perspective of being able to craft convincing messaging, yes, I think AI is great at helping someone who may not be a native speaker of a certain language can craft something now that sounds a lot more realistic with a good tone, that sometimes in the past might have been red flags for spammer messages. Um, but aside from that, I'm not convinced. I don't know. I'm still seeing personally it as a tool to help us, whether we're like on a good mission or a bad mission. I'm not sure that AI will actually go about trying to scam people without a human behind it telling it to. I don't if that makes sense. What do you think?
Well, and that's the big thing, right? Everything takes human interaction. And I have seen people bypass every restriction that any AI has. As far as chatbots, like your Chat GPT, your Bing AI, whatever you want to, whatever's out there.
Well, tell me what you mean by like bypassing restriction. What do you mean?
So if you were to go ask Chat GPT, craft me a phishing email, it would tell you, no, I can't do that. But if you
Oh, I
say,
thought it
hey,
I thought it did at first, didn't it? Did they lock that down?
well, they've upped their versions, they've put a lot of restrictions in
Okay.
place. So now if you say, hey, craft me a marketing email for this purpose, da da da, and you give it the details that it needs, it'll do it. And then you go in there, take that text, throw it into an email, and now you got a perfect marketing scam email. And it's written in perfect English. It is very difficult, and I have seen people try to find the differences. It is very difficult sometimes unless you know someone, like how they speak, the way they type, the words they use. It is very difficult to find the difference between an AI message and a personal message unless you know the person.
Yeah, I bet it's almost impossible. Yeah, and I mean, how often for example, the scenario you mentioned with Steam, right? Like how often are we in a scam situation, you're hardly ever interacting with someone you know. Like, well,
Yeah.
to be able to discern the difference. So, one interesting thing on this topic, I actually was listening to a podcast today about so there's voice authentication whenever you call a bank. Sometimes they'll have you
Mhm.
set up your voice. You say, my voice is my password at this bank, and then it learns your voice, and then in the future, whenever you call back, you can use your voice to authenticate, and then that way they know it's you.
Yeah.
I heard today, I listened to someone train an AI model like to learn, hey, this is Hannah's voice, and then they flipped it. Like it took 4 minutes of learning for the AI to be able to impersonate someone's voice, and then they called up a bank, and then the AI was able to just get right into the account and hear the person's balance and everything. So I think that might be an interesting area. I'm not sure I would want to be in voice authentication right now. I feel like it may be one area that is overcome by AI.
Well, think about it. So I use for my shorts. So for anybody that doesn't know, on Instagram and TikTok, even though I probably shouldn't use it, I still do because it's a way to market myself. And YouTube, I put out shorts. And I was just reading. I don't use Descript to do voiceovers. I do everything myself. They use AI to regenerate your voice now to create voiceovers.
The what? They do?
Uh huh.
Oh my gosh. Is that included? You have to pay extra for that?
Well, I pay for the pro service, so everything I do is an expense. I do all this shit out of my pocket, and that's one of those things that like I dropped certain services and was like, oh, I'll pay whatever. I can't remember what I'm paying a month or a year or whatever for that, but I was like, all right, and it does all this stuff for me, and then it was like, hey, if you need to do a voiceover because of this, that, and the third, you can do it, and it tries to regenerate your voice now, and I'm like, I might have to try this just to see how it works.
Yeah, try it. Try it, make a video about it. People would find that interesting. I know I would.
I think it's very intriguing that they can do those.
Well, see,
Um,
I can hear your Pittsburgh accent, so I wonder if they would pick up on that.
well, this is true. You understand.
I do.
So going through the Air Force, and it's funny because when I went in the Air Force basic, everybody knew I was from Pittsburgh. But then when I went to Army basic, no one brought it up. So it's like, all right, who knows? Who doesn't know? Who realizes I'm from the Berg? Who
Oh yeah,
doesn't
I
realize
can
it?
hear it for sure.
Oh, it's there. It's there. I say ain't, yind, whatever. My messaging is different, but the way I speak, oh, it's all Pittsburgh. It ain't going away. But yeah, I think so. Let's think about this for a minute. If you were to tell anybody how to secure, let's say Twitter, what would you tell them?
I would say make sure you have multi-factor auth set up. You should use a unique password to begin with. And then also pay attention or make sure you have your email alerts configured. I think those are like an underrated tool. Usually, apps, when something important is changed in your profile, they'll shoot you an email saying, your password's been changed, your direct deposit account has been changed. These are all things you want to be aware of. And interestingly enough, my info also got sold on the dark web. And they
Sweet,
were
I ain't alone. Okay.
yeah, no, you're not alone. It happens to even the so-called experts, right? What they did is bought a bunch of stuff from walmart.com, and got into my account. My account stupidly had the credit card saved. So they were able to order, so don't do that. And
Oh,
what they did though is it all
I've
happened
done
while
that.
I was sleeping. But they sent a bunch of random like spam type emails that all got past my spam filter. Somehow they got in my inbox. And there, I woke up to about 100 emails, and only one of those was like the Walmart, your password's been changed on
Yeah,
Walmart. And I read about it, and it's a kind of attack where they send a bunch of emails at the same time as they're doing the wrong action. So you just kind of go like, what's this, and just archive them all. You don't really look. Um, so yeah,
I've
I think
never
it's
seen that.
yeah,
That's different.
yeah. So those emails are only so good, but I
I
think
got a
that's
better one for
helpful.
you. So
Yeah.
keep going.
No, that's, I guess that it doesn't feel groundbreaking to, like, you asked me how to secure Twitter. That's what I would say. That's nothing anybody listening here probably doesn't know. But if we're talking about everyone, right? People might be like, why do I need two-factor auth for Twitter? Right? What does it matter if someone hacks into my Twitter?
A lot.
A lot.
And here's the big thing, especially because I've helped a lot of independent wrestlers. I've helped a lot of people try to recover their accounts and get their accounts back. So the security, and this is why this is so important to me, because this is a different show for me. Normally I have new people on or veterans trying to help people get into cybersecurity, but I want this episode for everybody to share it to their friends so that they know these are the things you need to do. Even me as a cybersecurity professional, I've taught my wife a lot. Honestly, my wife could be an FBI agent with how she knows how to search her shit. But when it comes to securing her shit, whole different can of worms. And so even though I've talked to her about it, we have, password managers and all this other stuff. It still got to a point somehow, and it thankfully all accounts are linked to mine. I look at it and I'm like, why is my bank account missing this much money? Why is this happening? What da 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 da? Here, someone had gotten into her Amazon account and her Gmail account. Then they set up a rule that anything that came from X account, I think from Amazon, would go to the trash or somewhere. So these rules were set up so she wasn't seeing emails that she should have seen. And so it took a while for me to realize how, because we changed the password for Amazon, we did everything right. And we're like, okay, we're going to do this, that, and the third. And then it happened again. And I had like $100 gift card bought and something else bought. And I'm like, babe, did you do this? She's like, no. I'm like, how are they getting your account again? Then we went through Google and we look up the rules and we're like, son of a bitch.
That is
Like,
crazy. See, things are coming a long way from like the whole Nigerian prince scam.
oh, a long way, because they're setting up actual rules where I don't even got to be there to delete it. All I got to do is change things, and it automatically goes to your trash.
Yeah. Yeah, I think email has got to be one of the most important things to secure. It's the key in a lot of ways to well, a lot of data about you, but then also it can provide for, getting into other things via password resets and things like that. If you click forgotten my password on a site, that goes to your email and then you can set a new password. So I think that's a really important place to make sure you have secure.
The worst part was they never changed their password. They didn't change anything.
Oh, wow.
So they made it seem as legit as possible. These people were damn good. And if I didn't have emails for my bank accounts, for everything else that we have going on in this family, I'd have been fucked.
Right.
But I have all of these notifications set up so that if I log in, I can see and I'm like, okay, I've got this issue. And on my desktop over there, I literally have like 4 email accounts open all at the same time. So I'm always monitoring everything going on. And that is the big thing, is if you're going to have an email account, you should have it on your phone, you should have it on your computer, and it should always be open. It sucks to say, but people are vicious. Humanity sucks because they want everybody to be fucking miserable. So go out there, monitor your shit, and then anytime something happens, as soon as it happens, you can see it and protect yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really unfortunate, and I wish it wasn't that way. I feel like it shouldn't have to be that way. It's just a constantly evolving thing where, they get more and more sophisticated, like you're
Yeah.
saying. So,
And that's really what it is we have to come to a point where, as a general user, and it sucks because the generation above me, so Gen X or whatever, I don't know, I'm 36 years old. So whatever generation came before me, they need to get more in tune with, and even the generation before them, um, how to protect themselves. I have had to help my mother-in-law. I've had to help my grandmother-in-law. I've had to talk to my dad and my mom and my sisters and just everybody else about these things. And it's because I don't think the enforcement is there. The enforcement for MFA. Look, create a password, but you better have SMS, an authentication app, or a hardware token. That enforcement needs to be there. And if it's not there, you're going to reuse passwords. You're going to do whatever the hell you want.
yeah. Whenever you say enforcement, you mean like forcing them to have a second factor?
Oh, yeah. I do. I think all social media, all banking, and all email should force a second factor of authentication.
Yeah, and I agree that it should, and then I also think the companies have a major responsibility here because some banks, for example, do not even they only have SMS as their second factor. And I'm thinking this E-Trade, right? We've all heard of that. Like,
Yep.
people have thousands and thousands of dollars in their stock accounts on E-Trade. Well, guess what? They only support SMS as the second factor. That's inexcusable to
Oh,
me. So I
that's
don't I
that's
don't know how some company I almost think there needs to be it shouldn't take everybody's accounts getting compromised and drained for a company to step up and add better security.
and that's a huge issue. Is you look at these companies and they do not give a damn until they've been breached. And we're talking billion and trillion dollar companies that don't give a damn until they get hit with ransomware, until their data's out there. Then they're like, oh, okay, now I care. Why now? Why not
They
before?
they care because they hate the headlines. So I work in authentication, and I will tell you from all of the companies I've talked to, they all say the same thing. I don't want to be a headline, right? I don't want my company to be a headline. So I think they do not want to be that company with the headline in the news. Like T-Mobile, for example, has been breached multiple times. But I also think that as painful as that is for them, people forget really quickly.
Oh, yeah. Look at the attention span. Look, I have to create shorts reels. I got to create TikTok videos. I got to create all this stuff with breaks in the video like every 5 seconds so that their brain doesn't switch and go, oh, I'm going to pass this up. Like, I should not have to do that. I should be able to create a 1, 3, 5, 10, 15, 30-minute video where if it's a topic you're interested in, you're going to sit there and pay attention. This show was 60 minutes. I get 100 and some viewers, and I guarantee you only about 10 minutes will get watched on average. That's not everybody, because the people that are here for the long haul in the live chat. But on average, it is, 10 to 15 minutes, if that. That's because as humanity, we have gone to the Vine started it, and then TikTok came out, and now Instagram does Reels and YouTube does Shorts, which YouTube Shorts can only be a minute. And so you have all these things that have shortened our attention span where it's like, oh, I forgot it already.
Yep.
I don't even fucking care.
Yep.
And it's horrible.
Yeah, yeah. So it's super easy to forget, like, a company may be in the headlines for a day for a massive data breach, and then people forget, but then people are still dealing with the consequences years later. Like, for example, our information being sold on the dark web, right? I had to like freeze my credit and make sure that I still wake up randomly to I have my account super locked down now, but I still sometimes wake up to emails like, Macy's.com. I can see someone was trying to get in while I was sleeping. It's probably from the dark web leak. So it never ends.
Dude, I get it all the time, Hannah. Like, I between, because now every credit card you get will do like, hey, we're going to search for your information, make sure nothing's being found, nobody's doing things, this, that, the third. So all the time I get, oh, your information's out there. Yeah, homie, I know it's fucking out there.
Yeah.
I care more about the fact are they trying to get into any of my accounts? And I have had a few that have tried, and they can continue to try. And God bless them. If they get in, it'll be hell. But go ahead and try.
Yep.
I change things up. I do things different. I come for, MFA. I've got, like I said, 2 different hardware tokens. Break into my house. Which one gets into which account?
Yep.
Good. Figure it out. Fucking figure it out. I got tokens. I've got my phone. If my eyes are closed, go ahead, get in my app. I dare you.
Yep.
Because if your eyes are closed, they ain't getting into your freaking facial recog.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why things like that I feel like are really nice advancements in terms of security, because it not only makes things more secure, but it's also more usable, right?
And I think that, how do I put this? As much as Apple's facial recognition has come a long way, because of COVID, they came out with the ability to add another facial imprint if you're wearing a mask. What are you recognizing at that point? Because at that point, are you just doing a retina scan?
I think so. I don't know how it works, to be honest with you, but that's my assumption.
Let's be honest, I don't wear masks ever. But, if that's the case, like I can't get into my phone with a mask on. If I'm wearing my Razor mask or any other mask for that matter, I cannot get into my phone. I have to put I enabled a pin just because sometimes I get a little too bad and I don't look at my phone and it's like, hey, put a pin in. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, I'll get in my phone. But that's because Apple does things right. And it's like, hey, if we don't see your face too many times or you put the wrong pin in too many times, you're fucked. And we're just going to block your phone and you can't get into it. And I look at it as, I think Apple is doing things right from a personal perspective. From a company perspective, I don't know enough.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're selling. I don't know what they're doing. You have to take their word for it because that's all we know.
Yeah, I've seen some conflicting information. One, I think Apple did a whole ad campaign last year about privacy and how they respect your privacy. So they were trying to differentiate based on that. And they did give you sort of it's I have a reel on it somewhere, but it's basically this toggle where you can say across your entire phone, like make it so apps can't track me, right? And you could, and
Yes,
that was like,
yes. That
ooh, like
pissed
Apple's,
Facebook off to
yes,
no end.
right.
I think it was last year or the year before. That pissed Facebook off so bad.
Yeah, Facebook even mentioned it during their earnings call that like that was the reason why they lost out on billions of dollars in advertising revenue.
Yep.
But I've read critiques of that, well, if you read what Apple is doing with your data, like they're still turning around and selling it. So like
Yeah.
it's not like they're just keeping it safe. They're still selling some aspects of what you do on their
They're just
devices.
keeping it for themselves
Yeah,
to
they're
make
keeping it
money
for
and not
themselves.
allowing other companies. And that is where there's something else I looked at about Apple. So, Barnes and Noble. So, I love to read. I'm a huge reader. I buy fiction books all the time. You can call them historical fiction just because I believe in magic and all that other shit. But whatever. I read fiction. I cannot buy a book from Barnes and Noble on my phone unless I go to the website because Apple takes royalties from Barnes and Noble. So if you sell something through Apple, Apple takes royalties.
Oh, okay.
So Barnes and Noble quit doing it, which I don't blame them. Your money's your money, homie. You do what you do. I'll go on the website. If I have the Nook app, I'll buy it from you personally. So if that's the case, what is Apple selling that people are not willing to deal with them?
So tell me what you mean by that. Yeah.
So everything you buy, if it is an in-app purchase, goes through Apple. Apple collects money. They know the app you bought it from. They know exactly what you bought. Where are they selling that data? Why are they taking that money? Why are these apps not willing? And I'm sure there's more out there. I just happen to like limit the apps on my phone. Why are apps not willing to partner with Apple to do these micro purchases?
So you think there's some sort of exchange there where Apple is demanding a slice of the data, let's say?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Interesting. Love to see the legal agreements, right? One of the things I always argue, like I'm not a lawyer anywhere close. A lot of people in the privacy world are lawyers, but in my opinion, it should not take a lawyer to untangle, like if I install an app, where exactly what is being collected and where is that information going, right? It shouldn't take a lawyer to detangle that. It should be more transparent.
But when we look at any AUP or access agreement or anything, it's legal jargon.
Yeah.
So before we go, because we are over the top of the hour, we all got things to do. It's a Friday night, whether you're playing Hogwarts Legacy like I'm gonna go up and do, or anything else. I'm sure everybody has plans for this evening, or I hope so. If you don't have plans for this evening, please tune in to like older episodes, and please eventually have YouTube make me money. That'd be great. Otherwise, Hannah, please, anybody out there that you could give privacy and identity advice to, what would you tell them?
I think what I'm trying to get is not get at is not any particular piece of advice, but more of a empowering people to care, right? Because like we talked about at the beginning, there is this whole belief of like I have nothing to hide, whatever. Like I've been on Facebook for 10 years. It's all gone, like whatever. It's all already all been out there. But I think one of the parts of living in the world we live in is that the data, like our data footprint influences how we see the world. Like so much of our what's fed to us via like media, ads, everything, it's filtered through like what these companies think you want to see or what you should see. And that's not something previous generations have had to deal with. So I would argue that even if you're okay with every aspect of your information being out there, are you okay with not getting the truth or the unbiased information that you deserve?
Oh, I love it. I love it. So before we go, here's the kicker. Before we go, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, comment down below. I know there's a lot of people, a lot of fans, a lot of supporters that are in the live chat. Please come back after the show. Put your comments in the chat or down below. Otherwise, look, you're absolutely correct. We end up in echo chambers. We end up in, these people believe what I believe, so I'm going to show them that content. I'm going to show them what they want to see because it'll keep them on the platform longer. It'll keep them believing what they believe. It'll keep da-da-da-da. And you can blame it on different countries. You can blame it on whatever the hell you want. But at the end of the day, it is the algorithm showing you what you believe, what you will stay tuned into. That is the problem. We are not able to see a difference of opinion anymore. We are not able to see things that differentiate from our own thought process and from the news and from everything else because the algorithms feed us what we want.
Yes,
not what
I'm
we
just
need.
not okay with this. Like, I'm not okay with this new reality that's become reality in the past 10 years or so, where it's all just like you said, spoon fed to you to keep you on the hook, to keep you consuming, to keep you not present in your daily life, but to keep you holed up on the internet. Like, I don't think that's a fair trade.
Well, look at it. So LinkedIn, and I got great friends on LinkedIn. I talk to them all the time, and they tell me about the way certain things work. I could put a post out there. It could be a video, no links, no nothing, limited engagement. I could put a post out there with an essay, a little bit more engagement. But here's the thing. If you don't stay on the platform, commenting and sticking there, they will not show your post to as many people. Same for Twitter, same for Facebook, same for everybody, everywhere else. If you do not stay on the platform, if you not feed into the algorithm and feed them money, they will not show your content. This is why, and I will say this till the day I die. As a content creator, I rely on everybody that comes on this show. I rely on the supporters. I rely on the fans because I can only do so much. I am a one-man show that does everything myself. The algorithms don't like me because I only have so much time in a day. I've got a wife and 5 kids and a full-time job. I do this on the side to help everybody else. So, if you want to be in an echo chamber, fucking stay there. But if you want a difference of opinion, go search for it.
I love it.
Go look.
Yep.
Because all an algorithm is going to show you is that echo chamber. That is all they're ever going to show you. And if all you do is watch one news channel every single day, there's a goddamn echo chamber. That's all it is. It's feeding you what you want to hear, and it actually gets you nothing. There's no facts in anything anymore unless you do your research. Look it up. Don't Google it. DuckDuckGo that shit. Because Google is still mainstream media, and they are still going to feed you what you want to hear because they have all your data. They know exactly what you want to know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, leaving politics and everything out of it, I just don't think it's a fair trade that we get like both our data sold out from under us, our reality shaped by all of the data that they collect, and that there's no easy way out. So I'm hoping that I'm empowering people and educating people, and that's really all I'm trying to do.
And that's what I love about your content is you're empowering the masses to do more, to do the research, to secure their data, to secure their privacy. It's the same reason I love Shannon Morse, because Morse, God, I always say Morris, it sounds like I say Morse, but it's Morse. But Shannon Snubs, who does the same thing, she's all about privacy and how things can, influence your data and why you do things. This is why I love YouTube, because it's all about more than just you, more than just the security geeks. It's about the masses. It's about how you can protect yourself, how you can protect your data, how you can be more private. And this is why I wanted you on the show. So for anybody out there that is watching this, please share to everyone you know. They need to watch this fucking show. I don't care if they don't like swearing. This is who I am. Fuck you, get bent. I don't care. Otherwise, Hannah, thank you for being on. I know you were sick this week. Please, I wish you the best. You need to recover. You need to get better. Go get your rest. Otherwise, I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe down below. You can also find CyberWarriorStudios.com. Well, everywhere. Let's be honest. And I will see you all next week for another amazing episode of Security Happy Hour.